Since the dawn of civilization, kings and rulers didn't just lead, they ruled through fear. And one of the darkest ways they showed their absolute power was through bizarre, shocking, and often terrifying execution methods. These weren't just punishments, they were shows. Public performances of cruelty designed to leave everyone trembling at the very thought of disobedience. Imagine standing in a crowded square in ancient Assyria. The king's enemies are dragged out, tied up, and then flayed alive. Yes, their skin peeled from their bodies, before their remains are nailed to the city walls. This wasn't only execution, it was a message written in blood. Betray the king and this is what happens. In India, executions took a different but equally horrifying form. Some rulers used elephants, massive trained beasts, to crush the condemned right in front of the crowd. The people weren't just watching justice. They were witnessing a terrifying spectacle that reminded them of the king's godlike control over life and death. Fast forward to medieval Europe and things didn't get any better. In fact, they may have gotten worse. Take the breaking wheel, for example. The victim was tied to a huge wooden wheel while their bones were smashed one by one with iron bars. Hours, sometimes days, of screaming agony before death finally came. And in England, traitors faced the infamous hanged, drawn, and quartered punishment. First dragged through the streets, then half-hanged until nearly dead. After that, dismembered while still alive. It wasn't about justice, it was theater. China had its own nightmare, death by 1,000 cuts. The condemned was sliced slowly, piece by piece, until life slipped away. This wasn't just physical pain. It was psychological torture for everyone who witnessed it. The emperor's message was clear: challenge me and your end will be slow, humiliating, and unforgettable. Even the Vikings had their infamous blood eagle, a method so brutal historians still debate if it was real or legend. The victim's ribs were hacked open from the back, lungs pulled out and spread like wings. If true, it was less about punishment and more about making a statement so terrifying that no one would dare rebel again. In parts of the Arab world, another chilling method was used: the snake pit. Imagine being thrown into a dark hole filled with venomous snakes. Your screams swallowed by the hiss of dozens of fangs. Quick, yes, but terrifying beyond imagination. Across the ocean, the Aztecs turned execution into ritual. Victims were sacrificed on top of massive pyramids, their hearts ripped out while still beating, all in front of thousands of spectators. For them, it wasn't cruelty, it was religion. But for the victims, it was pure horror. What ties all these bizarre methods together is that they were never just about killing someone. They were propaganda. They were performances of power. A king didn't need to punish every rebel. He only needed to punish one in the most terrifying way possible, so the rest would never even think about rebellion. And here's the scary part. Many of these methods lasted for centuries. They became traditions, they became expected. Only when modern laws and human rights began to take hold did these horrors finally start to disappear from the world stage. So ask yourself, were these punishments ever about justice, or were they simply a dark theater of blood, designed to satisfy the pride and paranoia of rulers who demanded absolute obedience? History may have moved forward, but the stories remain. And when we look back at these bizarre execution methods, it's a chilling reminder that power without limits almost always turns into cruelty without limits. Even today, these tales feel like horror stories from another world. But they weren't legends, they were real. Real people, real screams, real blood, and they remind us of just how dark human history can be when fear becomes the law of the land.